Let me go find it. Magical shit. That's what I want to hear about. It is
Oh my
magical.
God.
It's fucking amazing what's happening.
I mean, this is a serious mission. This is a serious transmission. This is a
That's
collective
right.
transmission that's taking place right now. It's so
I know.
big.
I know it is. We can always tell by the way that the shows fall. You know,
Yeah.
because they just take the schedule or the third energy or the golden child energy, the Soulogy energy, whatever you want to call it. Okay, I just tagged you. Uh,
Just
it just takes care of itself. But yeah, I could tell today is a big day. What is the date?
oh
28
my God.
plus, let's see, 28, 11 plus 6, that's a 18, right? I mean 17, which is an
Oh.
8. It's an 8. Yeah.
It's fire and magic and alchemy and new worlds and rebirth and everything.
Oh, I
Ends of
know.
prophecies, beginnings of prophecies.
I
Oh,
mean, it's
so
getting to the point now where this is so big that Will Smith slapping Chris Rock or Ukraine or Joe Biden can't speak and feed himself. I think they're feeding him through a tube now. I mean, all that stuff doesn't matter. It's
is that
just
true? I have no idea. You know this. I live in the jungle. I have no. Eduardo doesn't have a phone or a pair of shoes, and I'm very
good.
rarely online these days. Like, we have no idea. But is he really being fed with a feeding tube? Is that a joke or
If
is
it's
that for
even him,
real?
I don't even know. I don't even care. That my point is this miracle energy, which is our natural nature, is taking hold,
Yeah.
and it's just
We're bringing in the new world,
it's
and
I
it's a
know.
crystal clear
Yeah,
template with none of those stories in it, right?
yeah.
Oh my God, it's so big.
Scoot to your right a little bit. Can you scoot to your right a little bit?
Oh yeah. Okay, wait. Is this my right?
Yeah, we want to
Yes.
see, we
Hold on.
want to see you. There you go. You're
Yeah.
perfect.
Let me get centered.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's just the real important thing is I think the conscious coming together. Doesn't even matter what we do, just
Mhm.
consciously coming together, and it's not just like in this case. It's not just me and you. It's not like the last show. It was 192 people and me and Joe Delaney. I mean, that's a vortex, including people that come on the replays because there's no linear time. We're exchanging code. It's expanding incredibly fast.
Mm.
We're letting go of everything, every single thing, and it's an explosion. And so it's just superseding anything, any fuckery, any distortion, anything. Right? It's crazy. It's beautiful. I'm feeling it
Oh my
today.
God. Oh my God. This is the beginning of the new. I know we say it every time, and we've been in these cycles for years, and for some of us longer than others. Like, I always give reverence to the ones that were holding this thing down before our whole group got a hold of it. You
Hmm.
know, there were some lone rangers out there that were holding these fields open for us to kind of pop our heads into as we awakened. And we're the collective 144,000, as we know, and
Hmm.
this is the ascent of the family. And so the other night, I hadn't talked to you guys in quite some time. I was dancing under the stars with Eduardo, like we always do, right under Orion and Sirius burning bright. And you both just popped in, and I was like, God, just always the deepest gratitude. I'm emotional.
Hmm.
um, for seeing the fractal come together, and what you did, what you've created by just listening and doing, created the what we're now about to ascend into, which is the etheric grid. We use the third dimensional technology to create the planetary uniting of the people and the awakening of all of us all over the planet and all over the country. And we've all been kind of moving around, and now boom, we're ascending into the higher form. We won't need things like technology in
No.
the way that we know it, right? I mean, look at this busted up phone and shit. Like, I don't need this thing anymore. There's something way bigger coming. There's advanced technology that's way more advanced than anything that we've ever played with here in this current reality that's about to come into the physical form, because we're
That's
working with
right.
the quantum field and transcending time and space. So there's no such thing as linear time for like how long it takes us to get to that next thing. It's really just about the hologram or the collective family kind of remembering. And I think at this moment, working to purify the astral plane, purify those last aspects of the self that still have any emotional anything going on, because it means, we honor emotions, and we also know that emotions happen because we don't understand yet that we're one with everything. And so that's the deeper thing that we've got to go into right now. We're learning how to use this new free energy starship technology that's inside of our bodies. And so wherever the emotions are still coming up, we know that those are the areas that we want to work through neutralizing and zero pointing, so that we can elevate ourselves into the higher octave that's beyond the individual story, and bring us into the full unified field of consciousness, where we're co-creating. This is kind of a cosmic order of all of us kind of coming together once we kind of work through those last little pieces of somebody did something to me, or someone's offending me, or judgments or opinions, or those types of things.
Yeah. All that. Great show. See you later. You said everything.
Let's go dance and sing.
Yeah, I'm with you on this. It's and the crazy thing is, we've been talking about this stuff for years, right? I mean, all these things, they were like, this is going to happen. We're going to go from more carbon-based to crystalline body, and all the different things we've been talking about. And I think, I don't know, I can't speak for everybody, but there was a part of me that never really, I mean, you keep going, but did you really feel like it was going to happen? How could you feel like it was going to happen if you didn't know what it felt like? And now you can feel it happening. And so, and it feels also like it's just, we're just moving into a more and more alignment. And you can fight it, or you don't. And even if you try to fight it, you can't anymore as the days go by. You have to, everything has to be what it is. And the other thing is the power of the spontaneous, the power of the moment. And you're right. I love what you said. We were talking about on the last show. I just know, like for myself, this body has changed so much. And it's turning into a soul. It's turning into the etheric form. And that's a fact. I mean, I'm sorry. And again, I'm not attached. You want to take me out of this realm now and let me go on to the next one? That's fine, or I can stay. Obviously, I'm prejudiced and biased because we've come this far, and I don't just mean this lifetime, but I want to see what we can do with this thing, or at least experience what it's going to be. But I have a feeling, even those people, the many people that are transitioning, they're coming back, if they even left,
The meek shall inherit the earth. This isn't the story where we go home. This is the home, and we're receiving this land. We're receiving this new order that we're creating, that we're a part of. And I like what you were talking about with the whole carbon to crystalline. And I have these two things here, and I've had a lot of experiences lately to kind of bring this into the story about, the merging of the ancestral and the celestial. And so in the ancestral, we were carrying a lot of the old history and the old things that maybe the old darker stories of the family secrets and the things that needed to be healed, and the inner child and the deep dark stories. And this was collective stuff. There wasn't anyone that wasn't experiencing that in their timelines in some way, whether they were consciously aware of it or not. This was a game that the collective of humanity was playing out. And so we've been controlled, by these genetics that were programmed into the genome. But what we've done is, as collectively as a group, we've been bringing ourselves through the open heart, through the compassion, through the non-separation, through transcending the victim story. We transcend the carbon and we turn into the crystalline base. So it's about merging these two things together, merging the blue people and the earth together, the skies and the heavens and the earth. It's the eagle and the condor prophecy, right? It's the Hopi prophecy. It's the Quetzalcoatl turns, the galactic Maya. Everything's talking about that today in the end of this cycle. And what is Quetzalcoatl but the merging of everything, merging of the light and the dark. It's also considered the Mayan Christ. It's the Christ returns. It's really the angelic body of light that's returning. It's all of us that are being resurrected. And right now we're in Gene Key 17, and it's talking about the awakening that will happen to everyone all at once. I wanted to read this. This popped up right before.
What is
right before?
Let me see your forehead, your third eye. This way.
This is a seed that comes down and it comes out of the trees and it spirals all over and disseminates itself all over the place. And then this is just my daughter Presley gave me this. It's I call it avatar paint. This is anytime someone comes over to the house and we have a ceremony, I tell them they're going through their avatar activation and they get the blue paint. So
Gene Keys.
Okay, so this says with Gene Keys, with the 17th city comes omniscience, and it's a collective phenomenon. Humanity is the eye. This is about being the one eye. So it's going through the individual eye into the collective eye. So it's about having the far-sightedness in the bigger picture. And it's actually the dilemma is politics. That's interesting. But the shadow is opinion. So it's the opinion that keeps us from the higher understanding of the third eye being wide open. But once that eye opens, humanity is the eye that we will one day see through. Once that eye opens in our genome, our racial gene pools, it will change our shadow nature forever. How can we harm another when we realize that they're part of us? How can we harm another when we are feeling so good? The 17th city is part of the tradition of sudden awakening. When someone sees through their denial, it shatters them wide open to the core. This is St. Paul on the road to Damascus. This is a thunderbolt. When we mutate, we'll mutate swiftly. The 17th key acts fast. It's the master of efficiency, remember. One never knows where lightning will strike. So this is one of the most unpredictable places in the human genome. It could transform the human race overnight. My hunch is that this city comes towards the end of our evolution and follows fast on the heels of our heart opening. It'll literally bring an instant end to fighting at all levels, even in children. We know how siblings love to fight and provoke each other, and we parents just wonder at the pain of it. Why do they do that, the sweet little cherubs? It's because it's in our DNA. One day it'll be transformed just like that. A new kind of child will come into the world, one with no violence in their system, with no memory of violence, and that's something to contemplate.
Yeah.
So what it's bringing in, is this instantaneous awakening. Can you hear me? Because I heard some feedback a minute ago.
No, you're
good.
Is
this coming through okay?
No, you're good. Yeah.
Okay, good.
No, you're good. That was on my end.
Is connected to the dairy.
Say it again. Connected what?
Connected to the pituitary gland, and it's connected to something inside of us called the sphenoid, which is also called the galactic butterfly.
Right.
Right.
That's the little flap in the back of your head that was acting up.
That's the energy that we're. Dang, hold on, my thing's messing up. I don't know what happened.
No, there's a bit of a lag.
Hopefully it doesn't.
No, you're good. You're good. No, you did something that made it go away.
Okay, let me see if I can
hear
you.
You're good. You're good.
Can I hear you?
Yeah, you're good. There's just a little bit of a lag, so I didn't mean to interrupt you. Keep going.
Oh no, it's perfect. Okay. Okay, well that's that. That's mainly what I wanted to bring in the 17, and the fact that it's connected to what's called the 7 sacred seals. I know we've talked about this. You have the 22 in your chart, I think, right?
Yeah.
Pretty big.
Morgan and I both do. Yeah.
So exactly. So I pulled that card this morning, and then the 55 right before we got on, which
we have
the
that one too.
And the feminine of the Gene Keys transmission. And so I keep bringing it back to this, because if you don't know about your gene keys, look it up, because it's not even about this. It's about an instantaneous fractal activation that happens as soon as you open the information, because it turns on DNA, it opens you up into more of a quantum reality. And of course, we have to do our own individual work with letting go of things and surrendering, but it puts you on what I'd like to call the destiny timeline, the original destiny timeline, the heaven on earth timeline. And it's not, I know some folks have been using it for like some long-term studies of the inner planes, but what it's really doing is bringing us, whenever we're ready, into an instantaneous ascension, a quantum leap into our higher aspects. Or really, when I'm talking about Quetzalcoatl returning, what that's about is it's our higher aspects fully merging down into the physical plane. And so again, when we get back to purifying the emotional body, purifying the astral body, that's what has to take place in order for the higher planes of ourselves, the higher celestial wisdom, the higher celestial being, the God archetype or avatar archetype that we are, to like fully come down into the physical plane. So, I was being shown one day, the first call that we ever did together was on my walk-in day. It was on my near-death experience reunion, I guess. And I hadn't put it together, that was such a synchronistic, important thing, but it ended up bringing me into contact with other people that, of course, had near-death experiences as well, that were having walk-ins, and we were recognizing that we were all on the mission together.
Yeah.
And then anybody else that's been coming in has been part of the activation of the next part of the mission, which is really just our full embodiment. And it doesn't have to happen over these long periods of time. We're kind of done with the old healing story, right? And we're jumping right into, this is the celestial fire that I'm talking about in Gene Key 30, that's connected to the sacral, that's working with this 17 energy of the third eye, that's bringing the 47, which is the transfiguration, the collective transfiguration. And we have to be able to go through the suffering and the acceptance of the suffering that we chose to bring through our body for humanity. It's individual, but it's collective, right?
Yes.
So we're kind of moving into what you're talking about. This is the collective vision coming together, and it's already happened before. We might not remember yet, but it's already been organized. It's already happened. There's locations, there's places, there's realities where money will never be used again. It's communities that don't even have healing focused, because nobody needs to be healed. We're just returning to the Garden of Eden together, and we're all part of collective soul groups and families, and we know who they are, and the things will line up, the land will line up, the people will line up, the resources will quickly and easily line up to support where we're all meant to go next. And I believe many of those people will be here in Costa Rica, of course. I've been traveling, Eduardo and I, in River, in the deepest of synchronicities, meeting with original indigenous owners of this land that know they're supposed to do something with it, and they're not here to sell it or make money. This land has been preserved, just as we haven't had a government in since the 40s, and we're celebrating our 200th year of independence. So there's still some things to work out, but what I've been being shown is that this is like its own. Costa Rica is kind of becoming a galactic nation of sorts. I can't believe I'm saying this, but that's what's happening right now. That's what's organizing the people that are coming into this portal right now. This is what I'm being shown, and it's all just slowly unfolding, as well as land and resources, I think. 111 viewers right now.
111 viewers.
Yeah.
You can't make this shift up.
Mm-hmm. It's fun.
So you're over there, unlike probably 99% of us that are tuned in right now and that will tune in on the replay, and you're already in a physical environment that's conducive to what's occurring. Are you seeing? What are you seeing? I'm talking about, you walk outside, you got nature, which is what we are. I mean, are you seeing any type of change that you can, put your finger on, especially since the 22nd of February?
Oh my God. Well, I mean, what is there to see but birds singing and flowers and trees? And I will say our river is looking a little lower in water. There's a change with that, but we're in our dry season. So we're about to break out of our dry season. We're kind of at the very end of the dry season here in Costa Rica, and then the rains will come again. And so, I've noticed over just the last 4 years that I've been here, I've become very familiar with the patterns, and I definitely see the ebbs and the flows. And it isn't as pattern specific. I think there's been such a transition that it's not as predictable, even let's say for a farmer that's been predictable with how fruits and things like that would come in. I think there's something phenomenal that's taking place. And I think I've been using what I'm seeing in my outer reality to kind of show me the speeding up of time. And I understand I'm in a future timeline, right? So I'm kind of so time is moving fast. So even the idea of a season being a year, right? And the idea that we used to look at this time 1 year ago or something, we've got to like clear even the construct of time in our process. We're working with quantum realities and holographic realities, and seasons and things like that will eventually not even exist. We'll eventually bring ourselves back to kind of this, even I keep bringing this up. I don't know why I'm saying it right now, but Antarctica used to be a lush green humid rainforest, just like here in Costa Rica. There's something about that, right? We've all known those places. We've all felt that feels like home. We're
Right.
starting to remember old sites and old places that we've lived before that felt like that, where the weather didn't change so much. Even weather change is a controlled pattern that's not really of nature.
Yeah.
And I know there's a big storm kind of coming through. My friend Alisha just sent me a video on it. So there's a big plasma wipe coming through right now, the US, if that video is
I
up to
know.
date
And you
that
know
she
who's right
sent
in the
me.
middle of it? I'm right in the middle of it. I saw the
So so embrace this and understand. This is what I was shown the last time that the big snow happened like the year before. Because, my kids and DH are in Texas. So they were without the power and the whole thing. And these are plasma blasts that are purifying and cleaning these old stories and these old timelines. And literally, they're timeline shifts. They're frozen in time. And we wake up from this reality. We wake up from whatever this storm is. This is what a near-death experience or a death in a rebirth really is. This is what a walk-in really is, right? So I think we could, even if we'd like to, collectively imagine that we're waking up already in what we've been anticipating, which is that new heaven on earth timeline, the world of unity, the world of peace, the world where there aren't any old structures that need to be handled or fought or opposed. This is how we start to play the mental mind games and use our projections to create new holographic realities for the collective.
I'm going to put some music behind you. You're flowing perfectly. Two questions. One, your twin sister, Candace, put up a comment, and I don't remember all the details. I put it up for a second. That in regard to near-death experiences that many of us have had, that the collective is faced with or going through or headed towards its own near-death experience. Does that jive with you? I mean, can you connect that?
Well, I think a lot of us, the pattern that I've seen is a lot of us have had somewhat physical near-death experiences. And what I've also been shown is people that have had surgeries of any sort where they had anesthesia were likely receiving a walk-in, but they might have not known it yet. Like we've all kind of been prepared in many ways, some with plant medicine ceremonies and different things like that. But let's just say it's our oversoul just kind of hanging out. Just it's our highest God essence self, the old Egyptian, the queen, whatever. But the purified archetypes here. We're talking about the dynasty coming back in. You've got gods of amnesia and the real girl right behind you, right? I mean, Robert Seffer's been bringing this in.
It's right here.
I saw her back there. I know, she's my homegirl. She's my doppelganger.
Vril? The Vril?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, this is we're working on that telepathic stream of information, seeing future timelines, remembering we're time travelers and there's no such thing as time. And, you know, these things like mandala effects and parallel universes, we're bringing it all into the one now. As soon as we leave the old stories behind to unlock the gates, because this is why we came here, is to bring in the future humanity, the new civilization. That's an ancient civilization. We're every civilization that's ever existed anywhere. We are the Egyptians. We are the ones in Machu Picchu. We are the ones in any of the old sacred ancient sites that were left behind that nobody knows where they came from, the Hopis and the Mayans. There's a group of us that have always done this. And we just decided to play in this really interesting timeline this time around with humans and oppression and healing and control and fear and darkness. And it's funny, you know, but we're done playing in those old stories. We're done playing in those old types of timelines because we're here to have fun. And if you're not having fun, then you're not in the right timeline, the unity timeline, the celebration timeline, the remembering who we truly are, and remembering that the meek inherit the earth, and remember that we open up the portals by dancing and singing. And so if we're too serious and we're not dancing and singing, then we're not opening up the portals. And so it is time to gather and to connect and to have fun with our brothers and sisters and to get really real if we still have any kind of inner conflicts that we need to clear up within ourselves, and perceived conflicts with others that we might need to clear up so that we can dance this thing in.
That's right. Well said. And I just got a comment real quick before I go back to the second question. I love the way that Robert Sepper, of course, his stuff recently, I'm talking going back like 15 videos, have been fucking amazing. Just absolutely full of so much code, more code than any series of videos or shows that I've seen, including this one. And I love the way that he presents it without telling you anything, but just showing you what cookie crumb trails we've left behind. So big shout out to him. We're going to have a Soulogy Fest September 23rd, 24th, and 25th in Fort Smith, Arkansas, or in the general area. I asked him to go to Sedona. He had a family member that was not too well, and I don't know if he'll show up, but I'm definitely gonna talk to Morgan about issuing him an invite to come and speak. He's such a recluse, but I just feel like that so much of the Soulogy community is connected to him, and it would be so awesome. Second question: That's
a big ass Atlantis reunion coming. Oh my God!
Right. Well, yeah, I get that. Actually, I think it's both.
He's coming. It's Lemuria and Atlantis.
It's right in the middle.
Wow.
It's both.
Dang, my kids were just there. DH and the kids were just there, and they just went to Asheville as a final part of this grid that we've been cleaning up. Moldavite everywhere in the country, and working with all these crystals. And I see the New Jerusalem and the 144 and the Atlanta. This is another site and a location, of course, right? So, wow, maybe we're supposed to come to that September 22nd.
Damn,
oh my God.
Hang on,
so
let me
fun.
fix.
Okay, tell me the other question.
Let me fix this damn thing. I screwed it up. Well, they can look at you. Here we go. Hang on a second. Okay, second question. This is metaphoric and energetic and etheric and all the other things. Do you have a sense of that you're going backwards in time?
Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second. My phone was cutting out again. Said, do I have and then what did you say?
Do you have a sense or a feeling that you are going backwards in time? I don't mean linearly, I mean like, energetically. Are you experiencing anything that you're feeling like you're going back in time?
The way I feel right now is I'm fully unlocked from time altogether in the pure 0 point, where at this point now, the magic of the reality is just kind of flowing through. There's no such thing as time. It's a funny thing. Even when I was studying the Mayan calendar, I brought it down from, from the 12 months to the 13 months to the this many cycles to there are lots of cycles and different things. But now I'd say I'm experiencing what would be fully awake in the lucid dream and no time and no space.
Right.
And I've been here before, right? And that's what this feels like, I guess. And I have been shown or kind of clued in on the idea that we're in a time traveling machine, specifically that my location is a time traveling machine from the future. And I'm kind of feeling that I can observe that people are having that type of experience as soon as they kind of walk in and they leave and they're never the same again in a non-time and space type of mystical type of way that's hard for me to exactly describe what I'm talking about here. But this is what I'm just observing, that we're working maybe with the magnetics and the ley lines and vortexes of energy and stargates where nothing feels like time or weight or gravity at all.
Right.
I have heard, this is one thing that was coming in the other day, though, about the idea that we are reversing time, reversing aging, and that sort of thing. That's coming in very clear. And I do think that mushrooms need to be a big part of that. For our body, for our skin, for detoxing our entire emotional body. I think maybe a change in the way that plants are being used, not just in ceremony, but in regular basis types of ways to assist people in kind of upgrading their body.
Now, are you talking about psilocybin or mushrooms in general?
Specifically, I'm being shown a lot right now with psilocybin, amanita, and cannabis on the regular.
Yeah.
For the nervous system and getting over the idea of what's right and what's wrong or addictions or anything like that, and understanding these are really here to assist the body in going through a process.
Yeah.
It may not be for everyone, but there's some things out there that are super big keys in bringing the breakthroughs for people to go into full embodiment.
I felt a rush very recently, we have a certain trajectory, right? And early on, I think we had a trajectory, and we would almost like 2 steps up, 1 back, 2 steps up, 1 back. Or you could say I'm moving along, and then I get pulled back. But I started juicing in July. That's just part of it, I guess. But very recently, got really loud, and I've heard and seen people talking about this. They can't eat things they could eat. Just instantaneously. Can't eat this stuff anymore. A lot of people move into plants, raw vegetables, juicing, what so. But in the last week or so, and not like some, just monumental download. Just you wake up in the morning and you go, okay, that's gone, and now this is here. And you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. It's like every day, and I know we've said a lot of these things over the years, but again, it's the experience that teaches, and the experience that actually allows you to actually feel what the hell somebody might have been telling you, right? But I'm waking up, especially like the last 3 mornings, I wake up fully energetic, like there's an S on my chest, and I got a cape on, a red cape on, and it's not like over the top. It's just this, and I can't explain it. Another thing that people have been saying with what's in regard to what's happening to them, whatever it may be, I can't explain it, right? But it's just this, I don't know. It's like I'm bigger, much bigger than I am. It's like my field is the entire room. Now it's the entire house. Now it's the entire lot, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And with that expansion of the space, or my awareness of my space, everything in that field I can tap into as if it's myself, and it's natural and organic, and it's new. I don't know if any of this makes sense to you.
Oh my God, of course it makes sense. this is the holographic reality that we're tapping into, and everybody is you. Of course it is. And so the more we understand that, as we're collecting the data of the hologram of everything that's around us, the more we refine what we see in our hologram. So, if we still see the grumpy neighbor that's not so nice to us, that's bitching to us about this or that, that's part of our hologram. And we're kind of clearing out these old stories so that we see different stories. And then we see what's around us, and it's the flowers and the trees and the oceans. And like eventually, when you change the inner projection field, the external hologram has to resonate. This is a law, right, that we're working with here. So the energy fields are getting bigger, and that's going to demand changes in locations for some people, and changes in relationships, and changes in family structures. And because the auric fields are getting bigger, and the auric fields only get bigger when we can finally see all of our own wounding and separation for what it was as stories, and go ahead and remove that, and keep the heart pure and open, and understand that we're here as a oneness creation, as a one body of light we are here to purify any and everything that comes into our field. So when we can hold that neutrality, while we do bring up those last bits of conflicts or whatever the distortions might be that you might bump up against, until your mirrors are perfectly clean. But we understand that everything external that we're impacting, that we're cleaning and purifying, we're just bringing it back inside. This is one of the biggest jobs that we all kind of chose to do as bodhisattvas, whether we realize it or not. It's been noble work that we all chose to bring humanity suffering through our physical vessels. But that is what this group has been doing. And we've been doing it through our individual aspects of stories. But now we return again to the body of light. We return again to the 144,000 structural fiber, that we all are, the angels that we are, the bigger being, the bigger body that we are. And for a while, we might still find ourselves multidimensionally kind of diving back into the old stories, and then we bring ourselves back up because the portal's wide open. And so this is the full ascent that is taking place right now. The field just gets bigger and bigger until it's just one field. And there's nothing to be cleaned anymore, and there's nothing to heal or work out, because we all just kind of remember the being and the presence, and we jump on into that. And again, we must remember nothing's impossible here, because we're working with quantum physics, quantum realities, and holographic realities, and nonlinear time. So we're removing the structures of dimensions and gravity and time, and how we've ever looked at and histories, and repeating old stories, and all of that. Hi, Eduardo and River are going on a walk.
Yeah.
Love you guys. Thank you. Bye, baby.
¿Cómo está usted, mi hermano?
Todd said, ¿Cómo está usted, mi hermano? River's over here dancing. She's always making sure we're dancing, singing, or oming, or just, she's baby shaman. She took a card the other day from this Osho deck that I have, and it said letting go, and she just put it in the toilet. And I just thought that was perfect for letting go, for letting shit go. She's always bringing in messages that are very clear, symbolic, assisters,
That's so funny. It gave me a stomach cramp. Laughing so hard.
You got some shit to let go of, Todd?
No, I'm just laughing at. Oh yeah, I got plenty to let go. Every day, let go. Every day's let go. But letting go is oneness, right? Morgan and I were talking today. Letting go is oneness. It actually is, because it is.
The resistance is the illusion that, like, the resistance is this illusion of the separation thing, and that is the surrendering to everything. And I want to bring in this other part in the 17 that's key. In the other book that I pulled up, it said. Oh my God, where was it? It was like underlined perfectly. Maybe that was in the 21, because I wanted to tell you guys a little something about the Hunab Ku.
There's a portal directly behind you, right?
Oh yeah, this whole thing's a portal, Todd. This is connected to, okay, have you ever seen any videos about the Ben stone?
No, not to my knowledge.
Okay, so check it out after this, the Ben stone. But basically what we're working with is Syrian technology and magnetics and this river and the memories here in the rocks. And we've started discovering sacred sites. We've started discovering things that look like forts and castles here in the reality. And this area used to be mined for gold a long time ago. It's called oro tina, and oro is gold in Spanish, right? And tina, tin of gold. So we're starting to come across some old structures that the best way I could describe it is that they just showed up, even though they've been here forever, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because things are starting to become a little more clear that we're time traveling, that the reality can change in any moment as soon as we wake up the next day. We're not repeating old stories or holding old templates of any histories that happened yesterday. We go to sleep and we wake up and we're in the now moment, and let's see where we're at today. And we don't even need calendars to tell us that if we're ready to go ahead and leave all of that behind. I mean, that is the eventual of humanity, is that we won't live in the dimension of time. Anything that's still kind of taking, we use it while we need it as a structure of the form until we leave the form or move into this etheric nature that we're kind of moving in. And this is the gold that was mined or not understood. And this has to do with the free energy and the pyramid technology and what Nikola Tesla was talking about, and also bringing in no borders and boundaries. And I haven't experienced it yet, but it's very clear to me that the only time that I'll ever physically leave Costa Rica ever again won't be in the normal traditional way of any type of testing airplanes or
Bingo.
passports.
Bingo.
Ever.
Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere. I don't have any of those things. River is not official. Like, there is none of that.
Excellent.
In this reality.
Yeah. So Morgan and I were talking today, and she'd sent me a couple of things on the. She sends me stuff, right? And I can't recall exactly what it was, but.
Now, is she with you, or is she?
No,
in
no,
Australia?
she's with me, but physically she's over there. You get
okay.
what I'm saying,
so that
right?
still happened. Yes, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the thing is, and that's a whole other thing, right? But the Merkaba came in to the field. She sent me a couple of things, and then I had something happen a couple of days ago, and I couldn't quite explain it all. But that's what I got is what I'd been getting, but what I'd been getting, I couldn't fully accept because I'm still dealing with I'm not near as attached as most people either, borders, passports, laws, rules, regulations, bullshit, right? But something came in and I was like, oh, she sent me some stuff, right? A couple of them were about, I just got it. It's like, this is right now appears to be a physical body. It's less physical than it was, and I think everybody's characteristics and symptoms, we might call them ascension symptoms, whatever you want to call it, organic, carbon to crystalline. But what I was getting was it's going to take the physical with it somehow. Like we're going to be utilizing it, so to speak, in the flesh, even though we may be less
It's
flesh.
like a quantum wormhole. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like a quantum wormhole or a vacuum or a vessel.
And I think some people are already experiencing it.
We 100% are. Let me check this thing out behind me. Well, it's a little covered by flowers, but I've got my little, I didn't know why I painted it when I did, but there's this Merkaba in the corner there. It's like the bow of a ship is the way that I like to say it. Well, look at all these things, right? So I've got the kids with their little pyramid free technology, our 0 point energy free technology. This is the Sirius. This is bringing in the unity. So we've been working. This is like old Egyptian style coming back again in this reality. And then we've got the Merkaba, and the Merkaba takes us, and this is overlooking Rio Machuca, which is what I like to call the Ma'ka, or the Machuca is like the, well, you know how they had Machu Picchu? This is what I was being shown the other day. Machu Picchu is like that was the peaks, the mother of the peaks, Ma. And Machuca is like the river of light. And so Machuca, this river, is like the new sacred site. Machu Picchu was the mountain, and Machuca is this river that we're on right now. So we're working with something with this energy, and it's connected with the pyramids that are in Mexico as well. Very precise configurations that I've understood to be with latitudes and longitudes connected to the pyramids in Palenque and Yucatan area. Where information's being so teleportation stations is coming in, right? There's specific stations and ports and portals. So we know that airports and boat locations, and also what I was being shown is sports locations, right? Ports, sports, it's port with S on the end in the beginning. And so these locations where football stadiums were built, there's technology there. There's free energy pyramid technology there, and maybe under earth structures that are connected to it as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. I'm digging this.
Teleportation.
Combine this with the Robert Sepper stuff over the last few weeks. Mary Rodwell's coming on, no mistake, tonight. I've been looking at some of the stuff she's been putting out with Dr. Michael Sala.
I want to bring this in. 33rd harmonic. Okay. Do you know Bruce Cathy? Have you heard of Bruce Cathy?
Cathey.
Cathie. So he was definitely talking about sacred numbers and different things like that. But what he did, it was, okay. Oh my God, this is all connected. I'm getting so much information right now. Okay, so the 33rd harmonic. Bruce Cathy has since passed, but I think he lived in New Zealand and he wrote a book. And what he was able to study is the paths and the locations of where starships and UFOs would travel, which was connected to very specific ley lines, magnetic patterns and ley lines, and it has to do with the 33rd harmonic. And so there's something about the portals and how we'll be able to remember how to utilize these locations and magnetic ley lines to travel again, because we've done this before. And actually teleport and be in another space in the physical. I know we've all felt and remembered that we could do those things before. I think, right? Have you guys felt those things before? Because I've been feeling it over and over, and I'm like, okay, when's it happening? When's it coming? It's kind of already happening. Like I'm already bilocating and remote viewing in certain locations all the time. I'm always pulled over to the Vatican, or I'm always pulled over to where the things are going on in certain areas, or, and you just kind of go there, non-physical. But now one time I heard this on an old Palladian video. Eduardo still likes to listen to this cosmic agency, Taigeta information. And I'm always like, why are you still listening to this shit? But it's got some important stuff in there. But anyways, one day I heard the idea. So I'm planting this concept back in our head, the memory of this, the idea that if you wanted to go have lunch with your girlfriend in the Eiffel Tower, that there's a specific coordinate or code that you would tune into in order to just be there in the physical in the Eiffel Tower having lunch with your friend. And so that kind of thing is coming back on, and it has to do with coordinates, coordinations, and we have to transcend time and our individual emotional body to be able to travel as a body of light. And that's the other thing that I hadn't talked about yet, too, the importance of what we're doing right now, which is it's activating the rainbow Buddhic body for the planet. Seems to be what's really taking place right now, is that I keep saying the body of light. This is all just kind of coming in as I'm sharing it here, but the rainbow body of light. So anyways, a 33rd harmonic, that's what it feels like we're kind of bringing in. So I know Morgan, Bruce Cathy, there's something just kind of hanging out over in this area that you're holding as the master that you are. I feel you over there in that area, and what we're really turning on with the grids right now. And anyone who's on these calls that's in those places and they know where they are, they've been there for a while, and we're now fully turning the technology on. That's what it feels like, so that we can start to move and move between the worlds.
I'm digging this big time.
We're not waiting for anybody else that's over there doing their thing to do this. This is for the ones that remember. And so when we're not caught up in any of the media stories of these other fractalized aspects of ourselves that are basically just like extras in a play that keep us distracted and kind of pull us back into humanity. And no, we are the gods with amnesia, remembering, right? So, and we're feeding whatever we're looking at. We're feeding into a collective grid of humanity. So this is like kind of the call to action to stop tuning into the media.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you can even do it if you want to as the days go by.
Yeah.
You can't really, you can't, get in, resentment, anger, envy. I mean, getting distracted by this stuff that it just doesn't carry water anymore. What is 941?
Well, that's 13.
It's on your painting.
Oh, is it? Which painting? Oh, over here. Oh, good question. Who knows what was happening when we wrote that, or what was happening at that moment in time. But I would connect. Oh, okay. Let me read this code. So the 41 has to do with the start codon, which is really what I've been working on over the last 3 years without realizing it fully, was that I was working on recoding the collective DNA. And so I would have insights or shamanic information that would come to me, or animals or different things or minerals that would come and kind of show me. And my friends are all a part of this in their own ways as well. We've been working on recoding humanity, recoding our genetics, because if you watch any of the old stuff from Greg, not old stuff, the new stuff that's coming out with Greg Braden, which he's the leader in the bridge, right? He's the external, kind of a little more famous bridge between the old world and the new world, and bridging science and spirituality. And so big information he's bringing in, because it's all about the quantum and the fractal and the hologram. This is information we must start to remember. We are remembering. So anyways, the 41 has to do with the recoding of the DNA, or the only start codon in the genome. And basically what happens is now we're recoding the DNA into the higher frequencies, the shadow frequencies, where, let's just say, okay, I haven't bridged this with Greg Braden, but my understanding from because we're just consciousness informing itself, right? So when he shared the story of the idea that our second chromosome had been played with, so it was very obvious that there was something going on with the genetics of all of humanity with the DNA. It's very obvious that something was spliced and that something was created. So this is the clear idea and the clear understanding that there's some kind of human experiment that's taking place right now that has to do with the way the DNA is coded. And so anyways, when he gave me that information, gave the collective that information, but that was what I needed to kind of understand, I see what's happening here. All of humanity has been coded in the shadow frequency of fear and survival. It's nothing personal. It's not even about how you grew up. This is just collective DNA that we've been playing out, and now we're waking up out of the collective influence dream, or the old programmed genes. We were doing the genetic laundry, cleaning out the old genetic story. And so that's really what the 41 is about, I guess, since that's sitting there right now. And the 9 is a completion and an end, and the start of the beginning of something new. And, getting back, there's something more coming in. My friend Dina gave me a book. It was from Drunvalo Melchizedek, and it was talking about the Mayan prophecy. There's tons of codes in there, and he wrote this thing, there's no time and no space. So it feels like he's disappeared for the last 12 years, but really he's just in an ascended world. He was bringing that stuff in, that long ago. Anyways, here's the book. And I see these ants crawling out of the book. I hadn't even read the book. It was just sitting here. And this is what my life looks like for the most part. Like, I always have random books and things that I'm studying everywhere. And anyway, so this book has a ton of ants that are all of a sudden crawling out of it. And I open it up and I look inside, and there's a lizard, and its tail was being eaten. And the interesting part, though, was that the cover of that book was of the Ouroboros. It was kind of the dragon or the Quetzalcoatl going around the circle and eating its own
The plumaged
tail.
dragon.
Exactly. This is the Quetzalcoatl return. So the sign of the prophecy was, here was this book, right? And then inside of it now, the ants were eating the tail, which means that we were no longer going to repeat cycles or repeat histories, that we were moving from a cycle, repeat to an ascended spiral. Into the 0 point, basically, is where we're going. We've been playing out cycles and loops in time and all the stories and all the ancestors. And so we were doing what's called the veneration, which is connected with the goddess Venus, to kind of clear out from the genome what we no longer need to carry about these interesting old ancestral stories. And kind of moving those things out of history and out of even the memory of our genes. It's okay to kind of eclipse those things out so that we can ascend into the crystalline dream.
Do I get to keep my beard?
You get to do whatever you want. You came to have fun. That's the whole point here. And, anything that isn't who we are is what we let go of, and nothing more and nothing less. And no judgment of ourselves. We're in, when we move beyond judgment and opinion, we remember the perfection of who we truly are. And there's nothing to judge of ourselves or of anyone else. And that's really what the gene keys are bringing in right now with the 17 and the 18.
Based on Robert Sepper's presentation, America was named after the plumaged dragon.
That's right.
Ameros. And it's everywhere. It's us. I mean, it's like what you said at the beginning of the show. However you said that, I can't repeat it. But man, this is, what's so badass to me. And I everything elevates, everything takes on a wider awareness, meaning, purpose, whatever, but doing the show is just the best fucking job in the universe. I mean, because what's happening now, today's a perfect example. The intel's been, for Morgan and I, has been, step away from the big names. Nothing wrong with them, but this platform is about the people. It's about the composition of the moment, the composition of the day. She sends a bunch of dates out to people. They pick. It's like a lottery. And then you come in on Monday and you got Joe Delaney, Alisha, and Mary, and the traction and the mutual attraction, the vortex just keeps expanding multidimensionally. Everything is sequential and synchronistic and expansive in the moment, but only in the moment. It's like the information that you got yesterday, that you got this morning, it takes on a whole new light as you sit in this circle of life with, 180 people and you and I, right? I mean, it's there, and it's crazy because we've been saying this stuff for years, but literally waking up every day, and it's not a new day, it's a new fucking world. Like, it's just like
every day.
I mean, I'm looking behind you, I can clearly see, I'm a tree guy, and I can clearly see a portal, a doorway, and I'm not talking visually with the two eyes. And I can look out this window right here, and the first cousin is right there, and it's as clear as a bell to me,
Wow. Yeah. we're carrying there's some grandfather, grandmother, ancestral magic that we're all transporting to our brothers and sisters that are holding it down in America
Yeah.
right now and all
Yeah.
over the world in
Yeah.
many countries and all the things that are going on. And so Eduardo and myself and River, we pretty much live in ceremonial magic all day, every day. And any and everything that we do is eating, sleeping, and breathing love and peace on earth for all of humanity and dancing it into this river that goes into the Jesus Maria River that goes down into the
Jesus
Pacific
Mary River.
Ocean.
The
Yes.
Jesus Mary River. You can't
And
make it up.
you can't make it up. Yeah.
Everything's sacred. I mean, everything in your day is
Everything.
sacred. You have an environment that's supporting that, or is that. You're like the first one back at the. You're like the first one back at the plantation. You and Eduardo.
I'm like,
and
let's
River.
play, guys. Come on, we're here. Shambhala, let's go.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
Well, I'm glad to hear somebody. I'm glad to hear somebody is feeling the way I'm feeling about this. And I said this on the earlier show, but we've been told in the 7 years we've been together many times. Doesn't matter what the specifics of the situation was. We're like, okay, we want this to happen, or this is how it's going to happen, and she'll get the channel and be like, they're laughing at us, and you guys have no idea. It's way beyond your comprehension how this is going to happen. And we were just talking about this today. We were talking about this today. I said, we don't know how this is going to happen, but it's going to happen. But it's in some way, and my feeling is like the body itself becoming a Merkaba, that and again this is a
toroidal field energy, right? Free energy, toroidal field energy, magnetics,
and then the dance of the electric and the magnetic, the masculine and the feminine. We try to keep stuff between us, because it's sacred, but. One thing that I would say because it always, as the individual goes, so goes the collective, or the couple, so goes the collective, or however you want to put it, the family, so goes the collective. But the heart, the magnetization of the heart, the pull of the heart, that's it. That's it. It's like I don't have to tell the universe anything because it knows everything. And it's the
technology.
Pull. Yeah, exactly. This is the technology.
It's advanced technology. It's crystal technology.
Yeah.
Man, I'm just seeing how you guys have been paving the way and opening this next step that's about to happen. I know you're feeling it. I see I understand what's taking place now. I want to show you a picture of this one location, this little castle looking thing that we just found up on the hill over here where all the sacred cows are. Oh, and let me show you this picture too, just because it seems to be sitting here. These are just cool little
Over here.
Probably can't see this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
This little crystal temple. We're just remembering stuff here, guys. And that's what's happening with Robert Suffer right now. We're one group, collective family. And there are certain ones that are in the fractal that are feeding out this information, consciousness informing itself. I would say Gigi Young is another clear
she's
channel.
Good. I'd like to get her on. Yeah, she's good.
It's all we're just reminding us what's going on here.
That's right.
So, and there's no room for personal importance here because everyone's important. So when you're staying away from the big names and the things like that, it's like there's a deep humility and there's no tied to the stories and there's no more identities or personal importance of any sort. In fact, let me bring this in. We're bringing in Gene Key 21 that's coming up, and it's this is interesting. So this is why this is coming up, because I have this written. I must have wrote this days ago. The King and the Indian. I had a dog come over to me while I was at the sacred portal in the river, and he had an eye that's totally blacked out, like he had an injury. And he was showing me the story of this land, how the story of the King and the Indian, the story of the men coming for the material gold, and then the Indian that wanted to hold on and stand for the land. And anyways, later on that night, I guess I was writing, we don't need one chief in charge. The mothers in divine service serve and feed the people, love. And okay, the point though is the 21 that we're coming into, and it happens to be the collective chiron of humanity right now. It's the shadow of control, and it's the gift. And I wrote in here corona, so it's connected to the ending of this whole coronavirus thing. It's connected to the physiology of the lungs, but it's the shadow of control. It's the gift of authority, and then it's bringing us into the highest frequency of valor. And it's really the idea that we're never giving our authority or our sovereignty away ever again, but it's not in some fighting way where we've got to stand for it. It's that we simply rest in the remembering that we understand that we're the creators of the entire reality here, and that we're not a victim of any of these old stories. We're the ones in control.
Mm-hmm.
We're the ones in the power when our hearts are open and we're back to, Gene Key 37 talks about a family united can take down an entire government. What he's talking about is the family of light, the 144,000. And this won't be a taking down of a government in the way that we might think, where there's things that need to be said. No, it's us elevating to a whole another reality where we're living beyond time and space, and transporting and teleporting and remembering the non-physical material, moving. This, yeah.
It's like cosmic anarchy. Self-governing is ungovernable because it's not detectable. I get it. Yeah, it's all.
This is the Archaic Revival. Terence McKenna always talks about the Archaic Revival. And he was saying that there'd have to be some form of magic or wizardry that would have to take place in order to change the story of humanity. And so, God, what a leader he was. I just want to honor Terence McKenna, bringing it in the 80s. He created a program that used the I Ching stuff. That's really what I'm deciphering right now in the Gene Keys language. He predicted the end of the Mayan calendar without knowing about the Mayan calendar, because this is all mathematical code. Everything's in the numbers. And so everything's proven to a T, even the if we really wanted to go down and figure everything out, which we are. That's why we're on a call today. If you go look on my page, we're talking about how today is the final prophecy of the Quetzalcoatl returning. So there's a reason. I knew when we got on the call that meant today was a big day. I don't even have to know what day it is, but we're playing and we're all starting to remember this. And we don't even have to know this stuff. I had to know it to kind of prove the reality correct. I started using it to pay attention to the geometries that were coming into the field, to the pure synchronicity of the numbers of people as I'd add them together that would equal Fibonacci numbers every time. And so there was the divine order and the perfection of the mathematics of the numerics that was starting to come into the physical form. And we're all a part of this. So when we surrender and when we let go of any of the last things, now we start to float into this order. And there's this interesting thing. It's 0 point. We've got to stay in this 0 point. We have to really observe any last fears that we might have about survival and money or making a name for, like, any of that that's still there, that's keeping us from the final ascent of this magical realm that we're talking about, where we're moving between the worlds.
Yeah.
Some people, survival.
Some people, there's been a lot of discussion about the new Earth grid, okay, or maybe it's the new of old, but regardless, have you had any experience with that? Have you seen what it looks like? Have you popped over, or you know what I'm saying?
To me, it looks like, I'm in the 0 point of that grid is what I believe has taken place. And then what I'm being shown are specific locations on the planet, especially for me, at least here in Costa Rica, that are divine masculine and feminine activation points that have to do with copper, that have to do with crystal, that have to do with free energy technology, that have to do with free energy on the entire planet. We were just on a mission a few weeks ago where we were just invited to go travel with someone, and they ended up taking us on this mountain where these windmills are. And I was being shown that this was planted Arcturian technology that was put here for a future time. Like in this reality that I was sitting in, it's a third dimensional. We're using renewable resources and energy for, with wind or something, but it's bigger than that, right? So there have been things that have been put in place, and we were told that that was on the continental divide that fed the electricity all the way down to South America and up through Mexico. And so that's where we were a few weeks ago, doing something important. And then the next place that we were taken is, well, we were then taken to visit with some indigenous tribes called the Maleku tribe in 2 different locations, which was super important. The shaman gave me the staff, and what he was showing me, though, was that we were transferring the knowledge from the ancestral to the celestial. We were merging these 2 aspects together, and we were also transferring and clearing up any of the old masculine, feminine energy where there was a man in charge, and we're bringing it back to balance and equilibrium.
How long ago was this?
This was a few weeks ago.
Okay.
And we also visited this Lake Cote, which I put some massive crystal technology in, copper and quartz, connected to this lake. NASA has been there doing studies because it's like some bottomless lake that doesn't have a bottom, which we know NASA is a code for something else, but still, there's this bottomless lake, and apparently things have been seen coming out of it before. And so we were taken over there a few weeks ago. So there's definitely the sites that we were brought through, that we were walking through. Oh, and then we were taking this other place where the river, because of the chemicals that meet with the river, it's this aquamarine colored type of river. It's called Rio Celeste, celestial river, right? And so we were brought over there, and there's a lot coming in about these locations that have to do with nodal points, galactic grid nodal points, galactic family locations, where eventually the people that are waking up are going to get orders and know to go to those places.
Yeah.
That's what I was being shown.
I think we're ahead of schedule. I think we're killing it. And I'm serious. I think we're like, because the math isn't the same. It's not the same. It's not even multiplication. It's like power to the 144 exponent.
And that's my kin in the galactic matrix. I'm the 144 yellow magnetic seed. And so my job is that whatever I'm experiencing in my reality, I'm now inputting it into the cells of humanity so that they start to remember. And this is kind of a clarion call of we're stepping our game up beyond the astral emotional body, moving into the octave of the higher Buddhic body, so that we can start to play again in this dancing and this singing in this realm of magic. And there will be things that have to settle in the earth, but we're not worried about that. We're just here to kind of formulate and come together where we are, and to bring, again, our remembrance of the celebration of life, however we're called to do that. But again, as these auric fields get bigger that you're talking about, this is plasma that you're talking about. And plasma is creating. And so it's all going to start it's a body of plasma that's getting bigger. There's a contagious kind of virus, I guess you could say, that's being created. And so, hey, as we talk about teleportation stations and things like that, I don't even know. I just know that we're going to have some main points that we're working with. That's clear. That's why we got on this call today. I'm just feeling Morgan hanging out over here.
I'm sitting here going, I know I'm going to be coming over there soon. That's weird that you said that.
I'm seeing it, and I'm feeling the gratitude for what you guys have been putting into place. I'm seeing the etheric lines of connection that you've created between yourselves in no time and no space. And it's not even about ahead of schedule. There's no such thing as time.
True.
So we're eclipsing something here. Just like I told you when this magical castle thing just showed up on the land, it's like it's always been there, you could say, but yet it also just appeared. And hold on, let me show you where it is. I kind of feel like that could happen with, let's just play in our imagination. Let's imagine that we go to sleep tonight, and that we wake up and we leave all the stories behind to unlock the gates, and we start continuously waking up in these new realities where all these things are possible. And that is what's happening. And that's why we're waking up from this amnesia. That's why everything's ramping up with Robert Suffer, because he's informing us of how fast this thing is going. And Gigi Young is as well.
I wonder,
there's a lot of dead people.
I wonder about Robert, if I would love to just get him even privately and just ask him what, because he rarely puts an opinion. And if he does, he qualifies it, right?
Yeah.
But I'd love to because at one time, this would have been like 3 years ago, I was in Hawaii, when I first actually, we never talked on the phone or anything, but we've sent messages back and forth. And I just sent him a note one day, and I just was like, hey, you want to come on the show? Can we talk about the fact that people all over the world are getting these downloads? I mean, I was just going right down the list of what you would only actually see talked about in this, in a platform like this,
Yeah.
And of course he was busy and stuff. He's always been very cordial, but I would love to just find out what his real thoughts are. If he's conscious of if he's conscious in a conversation like of what we're talking about. Or I know he's conscious at some level. He did tell Morgan just said he did say that he told Morgan that if he ever did
I feel him coming on soon.
Yeah. He said if he ever did a show, he would do it with us. That's what he said. She's reached out to him several times. All right. Well, I'm going to have to go and make my beans. And now I got to go back. I got to go outside to my little forest in here and check with the portal.
I want to show you the Stargate portal. Hold on. This little piece that we found this thing is hundreds of feet high in different levels. And there's nothing that I've seen inside, but I think there's something underneath it. We'll discover it
I can tell you right now, looking at it, I mean, I can tell you straight up. I can see I can see multiple beings. I can see a primary being. Okay. And I'm talking about third eye, and I guess to some degree too. But you know what? This is part of what you were saying earlier, where these things are reemerging. They've always been there. Yeah. And I mean, talk about waking up a sleeping giant. I mean, we're talking about a huge, and imagine the first time that, for instance, if Morgan and I pop through that portal and have dinner with y'all. All right.
Oh my God, I can't wait.
Are any of us, but any of us doing something to that level, imagine what happens the next day. See, that's how fast this stuff's moving. And not only what happens the next day, but if it happened for let's say 4 people or 2 couples today, tomorrow it's going to open the door for 4 times 144 to the 144th power. You know what I mean? It's just going to be exponential on all levels with the individual as well as with the collective. So,
and I honor you because the requirement, and Morgan, the requirement of purifying the energy fields of the sexual nature to bring in what we're talking about here is it's massive, and it's sex and food have been the things that have controlled humanity in the physical planes for so long, that haven't allowed us to play in these vortexes of crystalline light energies. And so it's important in the divine unions that we bring that purification, and we work together within ourselves to bring that through, to then be able to unite and bring in these harmonics we're talking about here.
Right on.
Big stuff. I want to tell you one last thing, that speaking of time traveling, my son Dyer, who's 6, he came in with me, right? Because I had the near-death experience delivering him on Wayne Dyer's birthday, right? So he came in on the day that I died, or, downloaded the walk-in experience or whatever. Yesterday, he calls me. Remember, my children, for anybody who doesn't know, they live with their father in Texas. So we've been apart in the physical for 2 years. I know what turning on the telepathic fields is like. We don't talk on the phone every day, Mommy, Daddy, I miss you, and we're not having those types of stories. There's something deeply connected and understood between us that's beyond time and space and beyond words, because they're star beings, they're light beings. They know this on the highest level. So anyways, Dyer calls me yesterday. We're hanging out, and then he said, Mom, we're on a ship right now. And I said, oh, we are. He said, yeah. I said, what is the name of, or where is the ship going? And he said, North Carolina, which is where I was born. And then I did start seeing the image of the Mayflower and that type of stuff.
6 years old.
He's 6. And so then I said, what is the name of the ship? And he said, California. And then he goes, no, it's not California. It's, what was the name? Not California. Whatever the name of the boat is, I can't think of it right now, but somebody I'm sure knows it, ends up. And then after he tells me that, he goes, all right, we're not on the boat anymore. And then he go, I'm going to go now. And we get off the phone. I go look it up. And it's the boat that was 58 kilometers away from the Titanic when it crashed. And it went to rescue, it took hours, but they drove over to rescue the people. So there's some kind of story that we're putting back together, that we're remembering with the Titanic, with ice, with boats, with water. And then it brought me to this moment in time where my daughter Presley, when she was 3, told me, you know, you're not my real mom and dad. I had another mom and dad on a boat, and then there was a fire, it was sinking, and then I woke up in this room of light with you in Austin, Texas. She was telling me she remembered this when she was a 3-year-old. And then I remember Lawson always having these, he's my oldest, he's 14 now. He would have these fears when I would go on trips, specifically on cruises. It's interesting, I went on a lot of cruises to the Yucatan, but he would have these fears that I wouldn't return because this boat would crash. So I'm sharing this because I think this is a collective memory that we've all been a part of, that has to do with water and boats and Atlantis and different things like that. But also it's a connection to time traveling, because I don't look at these things necessarily as catastrophes as much as old timelines and old memories that we can clear out that did have to do with some kind of tragedies or deaths. But we're also working through our illusion of death. We're starting to remember we didn't come here to die.
Exactly.
So anyways, that was the last stream. I just wanted to
freaking out. 2/3 of the way done today, and oh my God, I can't even imagine what Mary's going to be like. This is amazing.
Go eat your beans, and it's time to fly, my friends, my brothers and sisters.
That's right. So if these first 2 shows haven't convinced anybody not to be wasting our time on watching Will Smith slap Chris Rock or any other fuckery, then this is the real game. This is the real story now.
Stop tuning into the media.
There you go.
Stop tuning into the media. This is Moldavite. Love you guys.
Love
Have a
you.
good day.
You
Thank
take
so
care.
much, Todd.
All blessings to you.
I can't wait for you to come over and have some eggplant parmesan with us.
There you go.
I'll be ready for you.
I'm not coming by myself though. I'm bringing her with me.
I know.
I gotta go pick her up in my Merkaba.
No, this has happened before, and I'm waiting for you guys, and I'm very excited.
Yeah,
I'll see you both soon.
You take care. We'll be back in an hour and a half with Mary Rodwell. See y'all later. Peace out.